All right, here we are running Malwarebytes. In the background, we've got Firefox. We switched from Chrome because Chrome was having some issues. And here I got inspired because on Imgur, this is from Reddit, somebody posted that they had, also through malware, hijacked Bitcoin miner, and it was quarantined through Malwarebytes. So this was on a post, what was it? This was on a post, how to spot a crypto scam. Fake exchanges, wallets, support, getting scammed. Obviously, we've talked about this many times before, and friendly reminder to at least do the bare minimum to protect yourself. Attack at 3 a.m. last night. Thankfully, Malwarebytes caught it, but even still, I have several security assurances in places, even if my passwords are compromised. 2FA, obviously, this is, you shouldn't be going without 2FA. So this is usually an app, whether it's Authy for Coinbase or Google Authenticator. And this is usually better than SIM cards because you can get SIM swapped for your Bitcoin, which we're going to be discussing about in a later video. Keep a physical copy of your secret key in case your 2FA device is lost, stolen. Lost, yeah. So this has happened with my other phone that was lost. And if you guys remember, here it is. Here's this phone that I lost for like 2 years. And thankfully I found it again and I recovered over $500 worth of Bitcoin. But what would happen if it was over $5,000? So keep a physical copy. I have mine handwritten and have copies of those. Spreading assets across multiple exchanges if you're not using a wallet. And this is good for everything. For stocks, this is good for cryptocurrency. It's good to have multiple wallets, multiple exchanges. Of course, don't overdo it because then you're going to forget the passwords. And there are password savers. There's special programs that you can pay for. So if you've got like 50 passwords, obviously you don't want to be using the same passwords, but that's, just common logic. Different passwords for each account. There we go. Make sure they're relatively complex. So there are random password generators. You can go 16, you can go 32, you can make it as hard as you want. Of course, as it gets harder, it's going to take thousands of years eventually for someone to brute force. So it's just impossible for them to get into it, right? Unless there is already malware on computer. This guy's saying antivirus. I wasn't using antivirus for a long time, and it's controversial because some antiviruses, well, they can be the virus itself if you download it, of course, from a bad location, but also some of these antiviruses, they don't give you that full privacy. They sometimes can spy on you, so it really depends on what you download. But this guy's saying don't be an idiot and use the same computer used for crypto as the one you visit weird sites and download questionable stuff. So piracy, any pirated programs such as Photoshop or Final Cut or whatever you're doing, pirated movies, or even, the NSFW, the 18 plus stuff that you're watching, you're going to find a lot of bad programs and bad websites that would get into crypto hijacking programs. So you got to watch out for that. Lastly, and in my opinion, most importantly, contact your mobile service provider and ask for enhanced security against porting your phone number. This is big if you're a celebrity, if you're an influencer, if you're a CEO. This is huge because sometimes there's SIM swaps, right? This is apparently the most common way to have your accounts emptied. You create a password with them, but then it can also opt to require them to have you physically present ID at a store. Write this password down also because this one is incredibly easy to forget. And this one is really, really good if you've got millions of dollars and you're not going to be moving that money for, you've got multiple wallets, but there's this one wallet where it's connected to a phone number, it's connected to 2FA, it's connected to a lot of stuff. And that one has millions of dollars. It's on a hardware, cold storage, right? But you still want to have everything double checked. That's what you would definitely use that for. But you can use it for smaller amounts, of course. So let's double check with malware where we are. So I am using Mac. And if you're using a Mac, there's going to be less antivirus. There's going to be less viruses that out of Windows. But the best way to protect yourself is with Linux. And you need to know what you're doing with Linux because you can still get viruses with Linux. There's a bunch of people who are like, oh, you're using a MacBook. Oh, there's no viruses. Oh, you're using Linux. There's no viruses. There's always viruses. It's just that there's less viruses because most people have Windows, right? So if it's just a matter of numbers. If there's more people using Windows, there's going to be more viruses on Windows. There's less people using Mac, so there's going to be less. And there's even less using Linux. That's more complicated. Usually for Linux, you're able to detect these viruses a little bit better. So if you know what you're doing, if you're a programmer, of course, it's going to be a little bit easier. The worst case scenario is if you've got a burner laptop and you don't know anything about all this stuff, just a bare about, you're just an investor, you're really good at finance, but you don't understand the technical aspects of this, that's okay. you could look into Tails. I used to do Tails guides, if you guys remember from Avi, but that's more for the darknet. But you could definitely use Tails as a crypto on a burner laptop, as a crypto laptop, right? So you spend a few $100, you get a burner laptop, you use Tails, and Tails is this, you can have it on a USB, you can plug it in, and every single time you plug out, there's no operating system, right? So that's the important thing. You got to keep it offline. Anyways, let's view the report. Items scanned. There's 0 threats detected. Well, let's view the report. 0. Okay. I hope that's all right. Let's see. Detection history 0. Turn on protection. There we go. All right. So I can feel safe now, hopefully, and we can get some of our crypto into another wallet, into MetaMask, and we're going to be trading on Uniswap pretty soon. Are viruses super important? Yes, it is something to keep track of, but you shouldn't be extremely paranoid unless you are a celebrity that is getting targeted, unless you download a lot of questionable stuff, unless you visit a lot of questionable websites, you're clicking a lot of questionable links from emails, from spam emails, from hackers. So if you're not doing that, if you do have a burner laptop and it's not connected to any social media accounts, you should be safe, and there might not be any necessary reason to download an antivirus. But if you're going to download an antivirus, double check. Let me know what you're using down in the comment section below. If you use an antivirus, if so, what do you use? If you used to use something, you don't like it, why? I've mentioned in a previous video, I used to use Norton antivirus and I absolutely hated it. It actually brought a virus onto my computer and it made it super glitched out, but that was like 12, 13 years old, so that was quite a while ago. Maybe it's changed since then. A lot of people recommend Kaspersky, so I used to have Kaspersky in a DVD, but I sold that. Never used it. So let me know. Let me know if you're using any antivirus. If so, what do you use? Does it work well? Friendly reminder to do the bare minimum to protect yourself. And we're going to be discussing about how to spot a crypto scam upcoming.